Santi, how are you?
I am doing really good. Tired, but good.
I know you've been tired. You went back to your old stomping grounds
I
for a
did.
couple days. You told me about it, and I'm like, Santi, how do you feel about two women fighting over you?
There was probably a time in my life where I would have thought it was cool, but not anymore. No. And listen, my heart is in a special place right now in this moment. There's no going back at
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm.
But going back into work, and it's interesting because I was curious about how I was gonna feel. Now, for people maybe just checking in, I left my job at a radio station 2 months ago to go full time into this agency that I had built and do the podcast. And it was a big life change for me because I've been there for 26 years or been in that industry for that long. I was curious to see how I was going to feel going back into it. For a lot of people, when they leave a situation like that, there's some emotional connection there where when they go back, they almost want to stay there or they're missing that part of their life. What the last 2 days did for me, well, one, it was a lot of fun, yes. But what it did for me, it solidified the fact that I made the right decision, because there wasn't a part of me that was like, wow, I really want to stay. I made the wrong decision. So I was able to enjoy it, but at the same time, I definitely know I made the right decision because where my life has progressed, even in 2 months, it's just so positive and such a good space. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
cool. And I could hear it in your voice. I listened
Oh, you
to
actually
the
listened.
I
Okay.
did, I did. I listened. I had you guys on at the gym. I was streaming it, and it was fun. I was like, I don't know that I'd ever heard you have more fun on the radio than you did, and it's probably because there was no strings attached, right? It was like
Yes.
you were going in there to have a good time for 2 days, and yeah, and do your thing.
Yeah, there wasn't I didn't feel there was a big part, but I was well aware that this wasn't my job anymore. And I felt carefree. I wasn't attached to all the baggage that you have when you work at a certain place for that long. And maybe you had some frustrations there before. So there wasn't any of that. So I was able to go in there with a free mind and just have fun. And not that it had been a long time since I felt that, but I was in there in the best mindset that I could have. So it was a good time. I look
Yeah.
forward to doing it again. It's not something that I'm going to do all the time, but
Yeah.
maybe next month I'll do a day. But
Yeah,
but it was a
yeah.
lot of fun, and then also gave me an opportunity to talk about our podcast and promote that. Which, by
Yes.
the way, they did play a clip of that.
I heard.
Yep.
I
So
heard.
the first day, yes, actually the host was really upset with me because I guess she couldn't really she wanted to make it clear that where I was empty when it came to that job wasn't in regard to her.
Right.
It was in regard to other things. So I clarified that, but I definitely
Yeah.
still stand by. It was the best professional decision I've ever made in my life.
Yes.
And that's not
Yeah.
a bad thing.
No, it's not. And I think you did a good job clarifying the clip because yes, I was a little shocked when you were so so confidently you said it was the
Yeah.
best decision I've ever made. I was like, wow, that was so I get why she or maybe others at Jammin may have taken it that
Yeah.
way. But I totally understood when you said it on the podcast. I
Yeah.
got the sense that it was more of the corporate
Yeah.
aspect of the job. Not
Yeah.
not
And
your because I know you have a really great relationship with Ashley.
yeah, and this is nothing against the corporate part of it too, but I think I had gotten to a place where I wanted more and more for myself, and they couldn't provide that, and that's okay. And I think for some of us in entertainment or in the radio world, there's not many moving of jobs on your own accord. Usually you get asked to leave or you get fired. So when you're moving on by your own choice, that's really unheard of. So when I did that, people were kind of shocked, but at the same time, they were like, well, why? It's because I needed more for myself, more value to what I was trying to pursue. So I was happy that I got a chance to clarify that over the last couple of days, but they definitely gave
Yeah.
me some grief about it. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Ashley was a little aggressive.
Yeah.
I was like,
as she is,
I-
yes.
I wrote it down. This is what she said.
What?
I quote, I will beat Susie's ass. I was like, oh my God, do I have to get some bodyguards up in Massachusetts? Because Ashley is after me because she thinks I stole Santi from her.
You know what's crazy? That quote, I forgot she said that. In the moment, I was like, damn, that was aggressive. And then I just remembered it like right now. Yeah. So you say, yeah. I thought that was aggressive too because like it wasn't even about that, right?
She
But at
was
the same
joking,
time, yeah, I do think that like what
she was joking, but she wasn't.
yeah, right. That's exactly it. But what we're doing now, I just think it was a great like evolution and addition to this next part of my life, and I feel like I would not have been able to fully commit or do this what we're doing now, this podcast, if I was still attached there too. So even like exploring this new world, building a relationship with you, having these conversations, I feel like it came at the best time. And that's, I also add, like, that's why professionally also it was the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah.
So don't come at me, Ashley.
Yeah,
It was Santi's decision. He came up with the podcast.
That is very true. And yeah, I've had this idea for the longest time, and there was another title I think I was thinking about, but when I met with you that time and we like talked, I was like, oh no, this is the situation here. Like, and again, I'd never been somebody who oh, the stars were aligned, the universe was speaking, until the last couple of years where my gut was screaming at me to move on and take a different path in life. And then when I met you, when we had coffee, I'm like, oh, wow, I think this could be really good. I feel like, listen, we have a history where we went to college together. We both have marriages that are 20 years. And I'm like, this could be really good. Yeah. So I felt the universe speaking to me. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, hey, Susie, I have an idea. Yeah. And thank you for like seeing it and understanding it and then like partnering with me on this, because I do think like even now 10 episodes in, it's evolving into something really good, like really great.
Yeah, I agree. I love these conversations that we're having. I mean, I think that, you know, the serendipitous part of it was when we had coffee and you pitched me the idea. Like 10 years prior, before everybody had a podcast, Matt was like, we should do a podcast about marriage, because our friends were always, you know, our single friends in LA were always like sitting down on our couch, you know, crying and telling us about, you know, their horrible like dating life in LA and, you know, the latest dude that broke their heart or whatever, you know, and that never happened, but it was kind of like, it spoke to me as well. And I saw it as a sign when like you brought it up, you know, and I think it's been great. And I hope it's been helpful for people so far. Yeah, I'd love to have like more of our friends, you know, on here to like talk about their relationships too, like moving forward. So we'll definitely do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did forget. I mean, so we got onto my thing, but how are things with you? How's your week been?
Great. I've had a good week. I mean, it's the biggest thing I mean going on right now is you know, I've mentioned for a few episodes now how Matt has been like commuting to LA from Boston for this new job. And yeah, and it's just looking more and more like we're going to have to move back.
I see.
To LA. So yeah, we'll be in different time zones, but we will continue with Spouseology. And yeah, it's kind of crazy because didn't expect to move back like at all, really, because everything has changed so much. I mean, after COVID, with everybody doing everything online, you know, including meetings, you know, like we'd have meetings with other people in LA, like 15-minute drive, and everybody's Zooming.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like nobody wanted to meet in person anymore. Like occasionally you'd have some, you know, coffee meetings or, you know, to get out of the house, but for the most part it was all done online, even auditions. Like,
oh wow.
Well, some commercial auditions are in person, but most of them are self tapes, you know, so you tape and send it in. So yeah, so that's what's going on now, and you know, we get a plan for that.
Do you have a time frame? Like, are you moving the summer? Are you thinking the fall? Or
yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to like stay here for the summer and then do like early fall. But it might be at some point like summertime, end of summer.
All right,
end of summer.
At least you move into a place with great weather.
Yes, yes, sir. I am looking forward to that because the winter here was no joke.
Oh
It
yeah,
was
no.
just, ugh, it was exhausting. I was like borderline, like the whole seasonal depression thing is a real thing. Yeah, it was just a really hard winter, but the winter before wasn't crazy. It was like super mild. It barely snowed like two
Yeah,
winters ago,
yeah.
but this past one was
But this one was really terrible, and
wild.
it lasted the longest. And then that's another thing that happens when you have these winters. I feel like they last forever, and even going into the summer, like summer, it gets a little bit shorter. But now the weather has turned, and it's nice here, and it feels like summer.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like
It's
summer.
it's lovely
Yeah.
right now. I'm enjoying this weather right now.
Oh,
That's for
good.
sure.
You texted me today about a topic that I absolutely loved, and I feel like, oh my
Yeah.
god, the vulnerability started pouring out of my soul when I read that text. And not to quote your text, but basically, the topic is, well, I don't know, how would you describe the topic? Because I don't want to kill it, because I think it's a genius topic.
Oh, gracias. I mean, the topic is just like I started thinking about my childhood and
Yeah,
how the relationships that I saw specifically in my household with my parents, how that influenced my future relationships. Like once I started dating, once, I found Matt and got married, like when I was choosing who I wanted to marry, that 100% had an influence on it. And I just wonder how many people think about that, like if
yeah,
you, because that's the first romantic relationship that we see, right? As children, we see our parents.
yeah,
And that influences, I think, in one of two ways. Either we do exactly what we see because that is the example that's set for us, or if we don't like it, we go kind of in the opposite direction,
yeah.
And so I wondered what that was like for you. And then, obviously happy to share my story as well, and hope that, that inspires some of our
Yeah.
listeners slash viewers.
I'm trying to think. I don't know if I ever made a conscious decision or direction when it came to seeing what my parents' marriage was, and then I didn't make a decision and act on it. I feel like I've
Oh,
always been very different than what than what my dad was. I am more affectionate. I am more. I'm going to say my feelings. I'm going to talk about all these things. But I feel like that's probably because I'm more like my mother when it comes to stuff like that. So maybe that's the perspective that I'm looking at. I probably inherited and saw the ways that my mother wanted to be loved and showed love. So now I am more of a carbon copy of her versus what my dad is. And like, culturally, I'm Dominican, and some Dominican men, if not a lot of them, really aren't great marriage role models for the modern person. I'm just gonna say, like, culturally, there's infidelity. There's all these things out there that lead to like really not the type of marriage that I wanted. So and even thinking back, like I'm thinking back to all these things, like I've never really wanted to be that guy,
yep.
what he was or what he is, probably because I aligned with my mother more. I was closer to my mother my entire life. So when I thought about love in a relationship, I always looked at it from that perspective. And it's crazy because I'm having this like crazy moment right now because I've never thought about it like that. Because I'm
Yeah.
a man, because I'm a male, I always think like associate things with my father. But
Yep.
man, I probably have been molded in so many more ways by my mother than my dad.
Do you remember growing up and seeing the bad behavior from your dad and
No, no, because
feeling a certain way?
no, because for me it was like that dynamic was normal. That was normal, and like
Okay.
like and even in this day and age, in this time frame in my life, like I'm more so looking at a lot of things like I'm 45 now, and I understand that there's things in my life that are challenging, and there's baggage that I'm carrying from my childhood. There's all these things, and I'm dealing with it my own way. I go see a therapist, so I'm able to process all these things and not act out on whatever it is that I'm dealing with. But now thinking back, I'm like, man, our parents were probably dealing with so much in their time. They were probably like they learned things from their parents that they were facilitating down to me, my sister, or whatever it was. So I have more of an understanding of what they possibly could have been going through. But in that moment, from my childhood, probably into my late 20s, I thought that whatever I experienced as a kid was a normal thing. Now, I'm not saying it's not, but looking at my life now, it's not normal at all. That's not the way that I wanted my marriage to be. That's not the way I want my relationship with my kids to be. So thinking about it from this perspective, it was just the norm that I always knew. It really wasn't until I met my wife that I started to like question a lot of things, and she would challenge me with questions like, hey, don't you think it's weird that X, Y, Z? I'm like, no. She's like, you don't think that's weird? I'm like, no. Why? She goes, well, it's kind of odd, and I don't even know what story I could tell, but I was like, oh, wow, that is a little bit random. Like, here's a good example. There's never a situation where I just get in my car and just go drive around and just go hang out with my friends without telling anybody where I'm going. I always grew up knowing that my dad's going, I knew he was going down to the store to hang out with his buddies, but it's not like, all right, he's just going out. He's like, oh, my dad, he just went out for the night, or he just went out. Now it's like, all right, I'm going to go here. I'll be back in an hour or two. Like that that's not how it works around here. But when I was young, that was the norm. It's Tuesday night. I'm going to hop in the car and I'm just going to go hang out with my friends. I don't know when you coming back, when I get back. And I think like culturally, that's just such a normal thing in the Dominican Republic where the men, they just go out. They go out, hang out with their friends. They go out to the corner. They go out, do whatever. And the women are traditionally home, but there's no questioning anything. There's no questioning where they're going. There's no questioning like decisions that they're making. So there were a lot of elements of that I, as a child, just thought was a normal thing. Then I meet my wife and the dynamics are completely opposite. Then I'm in a relationship and like there's more conversations about stuff. So all that stuff was just normal to me.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. So is your mom Dominican too? Like, are they from like the same area in DR?
Different areas and different classes, which was a whole nother thing. So my mother is more light skinned and my father is darker. So even that caused some sort of tension within their family when they first met, because my mother's side of the family, like, oh no, he's dark. You want to date somebody light. And as crazy as it sounds, there's even racism on an island like that.
Right.
So yeah, like I always could tell that they came from different classes and they came from different parts of the country, like for sure. And even thinking back, like again, I didn't come from a close family at all. And I think back to my grandmother making certain comments of when I was young about my dad's side of the family. And again, it didn't really hit until I was an adult. Things didn't. I wasn't able to put the pieces of the puzzle together until, I mean, probably in the last like 5 years of my life. Like, oh, that meant this. My grandmother was saying this. My grandmother treated me like this because of that. My relationship with my father isn't great because of this. My mother was just trying to keep the peace between everybody and probably carried a huge burden of our family issues just because she was trying to facilitate everybody. But at the same time, her role culturally is just to be like the peacemaker and just make sure that everybody's happy, specifically the men in the family too. I've noticed that like she treats me and my sister different, like, and it's always been that, like, I mean, so I think the last couple years of my life, I've understood so much about my family dynamic. I have more empathy to a lot of the struggles maybe that my dad has been going through when he was young, my mother, my grandmother, all these things, but it doesn't make it okay in my heart of all things that I had been dealing with. But forget what your original question was, but we are opening up here, and like this feels like a therapy session. But man, I learned and saw so much, and it wasn't always great.
No, and I totally feel you with that. I feel like we had similar childhoods, maybe. My dad is from the Dominican Republic and my mom is Puerto Rican, and there was racism there because my dad is dark skinned, my mom is light, and her brothers, my mom has a huge family. Like she was one of 19 kids. Oh, wow. So all of her brothers were like, didn't want him to get married to my dad, and he's Dominican, he can't be trusted, you can't trust these Dominican men. And it was crazy. And my mom told me, all these stories, but there was that, and then 100% the infidelity piece was there. A lot of the fights that I witnessed as a kid, as like a 5, 6 year old child, was at, like, 1 in the morning. He belonged to a Domino's club
Mm.
in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And he would go to these clubs and they'd have dominoes tournaments and stuff, and he would be like cheating, like
Yeah.
afterwards, and he'd come home, and my mom, I guess the difference there was that my mom did not put up with it, and she would, they would argue. And unfortunately he was abusive. Like, that was a piece
Mm.
that was like super unfortunate, and seeing that as a kid was horrible. And 100%, it was so funny. Like, it's not funny at all, but expressions.
Yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
it I saw the abuse. He was also abusive toward my older sister and me. Like, we couldn't do anything bad. If you did anything bad, he would hit you, and
Yeah.
when I think about that, how old I was at the time, I was 5, 6, 7 years old, and he would grab a belt and, like,
Mm.
hit us if we did the slightest thing. Like, we couldn't do anything wrong. So I lived as a child. I lived this in fear, that my dad was gonna hit me. I watched him hit my mom, and very quickly I realized, I'm like, this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
doesn't. This doesn't feel. I mean, obviously your language as a kid is very limited, and so to me it was just like, this isn't love. It didn't feel like love. It didn't feel right. um it felt very wrong. And as I got older, I remember thinking, I am not going to marry a man like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was not a role model. um but to your point, I mean, so, by the way, that was so etched in my brain, and I think it made me kind of borderline aggressive with how, um with how I chose to date a man, and how he showed up, to
Mm.
our relationship, because I'm very sensitive still to any sort of aggressiveness toward me. Like, if something's a little too harsh, it's I remember my first boyfriend that I had, he was like, not that it ever, any of our arguments got anywhere near, like, he was a very nice guy. um it didn't ever get anywhere like serious, and thankfully nobody ever put a hand on me. But I remember telling him one time, like, and it was probably a little too much, but I was like, if anybody ever puts a hand on me, they better kill me, because I will murder you. Like, I am
Mm-hmm.
going to jail. I'm like, I grew up with it. I watched it happen. And I don't know, why my mom kind of accepted it. Like, it took my dad leaving us, like abandoning my family, for that relationship to end. Like, my mom didn't end it, and I
Yeah.
never had a conversation. She passed away in 2014. And it was one of the things that I always wanted to talk to her about, and I didn't get a chance to, was about why she never left my dad,
Yeah.
because he was awful. And when I tell you, I mean, everything, Santi, that my father was such an unreasonable man that I don't think he would have. I question whether or not he would have allowed me to go to college. He would
Really.
have, yes, he would have definitely not allowed me to enter the pageant and become Miss USA and do everything that, I did after that. He was just very, like, possessive and aggressive, and abuse. It was abuse. It was so abusive, but it had such an impact on me as a young woman, and 100% um on my decision. It influenced me in who I dated, who I
Mm.
chose to date, and who ultimately I chose to marry, just the
Yeah.
opposite of that.
You thinking about you saying that you wish you would have had a conversation with your mother about
Oh,
this before she passed, brings up this emotion that I've been dealing with now for a couple years, and one of my frustrations lately with my family. And listen, it's it's tough because I don't want to upset them having this episode here, but I feel like I need to talk about this. Is that
Mm-hmm.
and I've expressed this with them. I feel like we have spent so many years dealing with whatever family drama. I don't. You can call it the average family drama, or maybe mine's a little bit more. But and I said my frustration is that we don't ever talk about anything. Everything happens and it goes away, and nobody talks about it. But like, I'm somebody who wants to communicate that. I want to hear and give somebody the opportunity to be like, hey, you know what? I probably handled that the wrong way, or whatever it is. So you do that enough times, and over the span of however many years, is all this baggage built up and resentment and emotion that just never got spoken about. And I think that's my biggest frustration. And even looking back to when I was a kid, we never communicated and talked about anything um, that there was never an opportunity to be like, you know what, I probably was too aggressive there. I probably should not have done that. I probably should not have said this. I handled that wrong. It was just the way. And
Uh-huh.
then I felt like I spent so many years just trying to make people happy, make sure everybody wasn't upset with me, making sure that my mother wasn't caught in the middle of all these issues, that I wish we would have talked about all these things for so many years, because we probably wouldn't be in this situation right now. And that's one thing that I was very cognizant of growing up. I'm like, listen, when I have kids, when I have a family, I am going to talk about everything. I am going to apologize when I feel I was too aggressive. The other night I did it. I responded to my wife. I was annoyed that basically the Whole Foods didn't bring my chicken breast. And I
Yeah.
was annoyed, and I was pissed off because it happens all the time. And my wife was trying to do the nice thing and was like, do you want me to order you food? I go, no, I can order my own food. It was me and my frustration over the Whole Foods thing. But in that moment, I responded to her like that in front of the kids, and I was like, whoa. She got upset. I go, listen, I am sorry. I did not mean to talk to you like that. I'm upset about the Whole Foods. That has nothing to do with you. You were trying to do a nice thing for me, and I really do apologize to you. And like, and I meant it, but I wanted to do it in front of the kids, so they saw a grown man realizing that he did something wrong and then apologizing to their mother
Yep.
in the moment.
Yeah.
And I think like I just wish there was open communication like that growing up, because I feel like it just would have been better for everybody. And I know
Yeah.
me personally, I would have been happier, and I wouldn't, you know, and we wouldn't be in the situation now. And just to give people more context, like I'm not close with my family over the last couple of years, and it's been a real challenge for me. It's been something that I feel like I'm carrying this burden. I feel like I just wish it was very different.
Yes.
But I also realized in the last couple of years that it's not my fault, and I spent a lot of years thinking it was my fault and thinking I needed to do more and feeling like I need to do more, and that's not the case. And thinking back, like I have done a lot, I have tried a lot, I have always been open, I made efforts even when maybe it wasn't viewed as that, but that all came with therapy. If it wasn't for therapy, I would still be feeling like I was trying to people please my family. And I think I got to the place where the last couple of years I'm not doing that anymore, but it's also not my fault, and I let my feelings be known and my emotion out there. And I think it was heard, and it felt
Yeah.
good. But I think, long story short, what I'm trying to say is that
Mm.
communication is so important in my life now, but it's because it was never was from when I was young. And that's one thing I do remember like vividly. We never talked
Yeah.
about anything. So
Yeah. Man,
Yeah.
I feel like my family, well, my parents argued a lot. They fought a lot, right? So I guess that's a form of communication.
Yeah.
It's bad communication, but it was toxic communication, which is funny. I never thought of it that way, but um and there was always a lot of gossiping in my family
Mm.
too, like with I mentioned my mom having a lot of brothers and I thinking about it, I'm like, gosh, have all of my uncles cheated on their wives? Like that was like a big thing. I don't know why it's it's culturally so accepted
Yeah.
by women, and it's such a huge, it speaks to their confidence, it speaks to the culture. It's like it's mind-boggling to me. And I remember when I got married to Matt, like going to Puerto Rico for the first time, and he wasn't able to come with me. It was like a trip that I took with my sister, my older sister, my nephew, and my mom. And it was like during the holidays, I remember. And we went, and nobody had met Matt yet. They had only seen photos of him. And one of my cousins, who's a total smartass, was like, Susie, why don't you marry a Latino? Why don't you marry a Puerto Rican guy? And I was like, because I never met a good one. I'm like, you mofos. I'm like, the way
Yeah.
that, you treat your women and, the infidelity, I'm like, that is not a life that I was wanting.
Yeah. I remember.
Um,
Oh, no.
no, no,
Go
no.
ahead.
It's just, and I'm not saying all Latinos are.
Yeah.
Santi's not that way,
I'm
but
not in
there's
the
just
streets.
you're
Yeah.
nope. But a
You,
lot of them are.
there was I had an uncle one time come and visit us, and I was really young. I was not old enough to drive, but I'd say I was 10 or 11, old enough to know when things were going on. And I remember my uncle, we went to the mall, and I took him to the mall, and he bought some jewelry. And
Mhm.
we get in the car, and he was like, "Hey, make sure you don't tell your aunt about this, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Fine." And then he goes, "Yeah, no, no, because it's for it's for somebody else." The craziest part is not that he told me about that. The craziest part is not that I never said anything. The craziest part to me, thinking back, is that I understood it. I
Yeah.
got what he was saying without him even saying it. I got
Yes.
that it was for another female. I got that
Yeah.
it's for his mistress and all that stuff. And like thinking
Yeah.
back now, I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And this is me being a young, impressionable child. Like I think of my son now. My youngest son is 9. Like he doesn't even know what sex is yet, really. Like I think he has an idea probably and probably seen, but like imagine 2 years from now, me or my brother or whomever it is coming in and
Yeah.
being like, hey, you don't want this, don't tell your aunt this. So I think back to all these things, and it's just like, and even being down there, my wife has made comments about being in the Dominican Republic and us going to like whether it's a casino or whether it's like a family friend's house, and her just noticing like, wait, there was another time where we were in this car with this guy, my dad's friend, and he was on the phone and he was talking, and my wife does not speak Spanish. The way that he was talking, my wife was like afterwards, like, "Hey, who is he talking?" Because his tone seemed a little bit like I'm like he's talking to his girlfriend, and then, her
Oh.
and I in the back of the car. I'm hearing like everything, and I'm listening, and I know what they're like talking about, and I had to, my wife was like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "Yeah," and then I went to the whole explanation like culturally, and then when we would go out, she would see it. She would see all these men out,
Yep.
older men, younger females, and all that stuff. And then, like, I can even go into stories about my female cousins being the mistresses to all these men. Like,
Oh, wow.
it's just like, it's crazy to think back now. It's like I was surrounded by all these elements. But again, I go back,
Yeah.
it was normal to me. It wasn't crazy to me. It wasn't odd.
Right.
So, and it's like, it's different here. It like just is.
Yeah.
It's that stuff. And then like I'm not to say that it doesn't happen here in the United States. I just feel like here it's not as culturally accepted and it's more of a secret.
Yes. It is more of a secret. But man, that stuff, the truth always comes out in some way, shape, or form. Like
Yeah.
it just always. Oh gosh, this is a really crazy story. I think I was in middle school, maybe like 7th, 8th grade, and one of my best friends lived up the street from us. So she'd come over to my house, I'd go over to hers. And one time I went over there, and her mom was a single mom. I went over there and my uncle was sitting on her couch, like with my friend's mom. And I was like, "Oh, Theo." I'm like, "Hi." I was like, I didn't even know what to say, but I was like, "Hi." And I'm like, "Okay, they're friends, I guess." And then she and I went to her room to like go play or whatever. And
Mhm.
my uncle was in her house. My uncle who's married and has kids and lives like a few blocks away. And I went home that day and I was like, "Mom, Theo was I saw Theo so and so at her house." Like, and I just told my mom, and I was like, and then it became a whole big thing. Like, it was because it was well, it was a secret, but my aunt found out eventually, and then she was mad at my mom that my mom knew and didn't tell her, and it became a whole family debacle, you know?
Yeah.
And it's and by the way, and that aunt never left my uncle. They're still together
Yeah.
today. I
Yeah.
mean, hopefully he's done. He's old. Like hopefully he's chilled out, but like it is like culturally it's a thing that is accepted. And
Yeah.
yeah, and seeing it, I was just like, F that. Like, I don't want it. That is not what I want in my life. And it's not something that that's not something that I would do. And it's not
Yeah.
something that I want done to me. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
terrible.
And also too, like, I don't know. I mean, I just want to be home. I want to be with my family. I want to hang out. I want to have good conversations with my
Yeah.
wife. I want things to be good. Like all that
Yeah.
extra stuff, all that, that lifestyle just seems like so much work, so much just
Like
drama, so much.
exhausting.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm looking for this point in my life to build a good company, have fun doing content like this, be a great dad, be a good husband, and just have peace of mind. All,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And that's as simple as I want to live. So
Absolutely.
it's funny we tell these stories, and I mean all these stories keep coming up into my mind that I've experienced as like a
Yeah.
kid. A lot of them. Like we could sit here for hours. But it's just really such a cultural thing, and I wonder like it expands into any Latin speaking country. So does it originate from Spain in some capacity? Is it like and even going to Italy too? Like again, I see it there as well. Like it's a really
Yeah.
like interesting thing. Now I don't think you can focus it just on one culture. But I think like if you go back in the history of time, like all these kings from England, whatever, had multiple women on the side or whatever, it's socially accepted. I think
Yep.
possibly it's a man-female dynamic that hopefully we're all changing, but we are fighting I don't know how many centuries and thousands of years of ways that men have always thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you hear stuff over the years, right? All the time. Like, it's in men's nature to like have more than one partner. Like, having apparently, I don't know if this is true. I have not gone down this rabbit hole, but it's not. It's not natural or something. I've heard that argument that it's not
Yeah.
natural for a man to be in a monogamous relationship, that it takes a lot of effort that for them to just be in one relationship because biologically they want or need or desire to be with multiple partners.
Maybe, and again, I don't know this to be true. I'm just like spitballing here, but maybe because for a guy, it's probably easier to physically get to that point.
Yeah.
And I've heard this in even gay relationships with two men that like it's a lot tougher because for a man, it's just easy to go do whatever, come back, and it be a complete detachment. Now, I'm just
Right.
surmising here. I don't know if that's actually the case, but that is what I've heard.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
so is it a lot of work not to cheat? No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not. It's really easy. It's easy just to be like satisfied with what you have, and if you really don't
Yeah.
like something and something's wrong, you communicate and have a conversation about it. And hopefully you're with somebody who can hear you out and all that stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's true. It shouldn't be hard. I mean, it's a lot easier than trying to juggle unless you're just like male gigolo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you ugh, I
But
don't know.
even at that, like I don't know, you can only keep that up for so much. Like I'm like 45, and it's like a lot. Like I don't have sex every night. That's like crazy talk. Like I can't do that. So I don't know.
Slow down.
Yeah.
You mentioned something earlier though about people pleasing.
Yeah.
Like being like wanting to like keep the peace.
Yeah.
What do you like what triggered that belief system for you? Like from when you
Because
were
I think my mother has always tried to please my dad in so many ways. My mother has
Mhm.
always tried to keep me happy, and she's always been in the middle of that. I think subconsciously, and like I said it before, like I align
Mm,
more of the way that I am with my mother, and I think I inherited a lot of people pleasing from her. And there's a great example is like I used to get asked to do a lot of events, when I worked at the radio station and when I was in the heyday of doing club appearances and all this stuff. And I would say yes to everything. They would ask me to come down to Boston, do a movie premiere. Even if I wasn't getting paid, I was like, yeah, I have to. Like, I don't want them to not offer it to me the next time. And I don't want anybody to be upset with me and say I turned stuff down. So I would do everything. Like, even here's an example that I still have. I knew that for the month of June and maybe going into July, I was going to be really busy on the weekends, that I probably wasn't going to be able to make to a lot of the baseball games of a league that I still play in. I knew that and even communicated with that, but there's still an email that goes out every single week. In my soul, I want to like not really say that I'm not going, just to make sure that nobody gets upset. And I think that's like like the small example, but so stupid. Even though I know I am not going on Sunday, and I've already
Yep.
told them that I'm not going to be there until at least July. But in my
Right.
soul, I'm like, are they going to be upset? Are they going to be
Right.
like, where is he? But even though I'm 45 and it doesn't really matter, I love playing the game, but I'm putting all these things right now in front of that.
Right.
That mean right now in the moment more than playing a game on Sundays. So I
Yeah.
still find myself people pleasing, and I still find myself with this thought of like, oh, I don't want them to get upset, or even like when I write an email, oh, let me write this a certain way because I don't want them to think that this, and then I don't want them to react in an upset way. And
Right.
maybe now thinking back, I have this thing of like, I don't want people to be upset with me. I don't want it's not that I want to be liked. It's that I don't want people to be upset with me in certain aspects of things.
Yes,
So,
100%.
it's 100% tied to what I grew up with and what I saw.
Yeah. They said I took this course one time that was like it was basically like psychology 101 into yourself. Like, you kind of break down like your childhood, and one of the things that they mentioned in this class was that we create belief systems that we take forever with us, that become part of our, a characteristic part of our personality, um, from things like something that happened to you between the age of 1 and 7,
Mm.
7 and 14, and then 14 and 21. So up until so every 7 years, there's like some sort of dramatic event that causes you to put on some sort of blinders, and we're very similar in the whole people pleasing thing. And I am just now, as a 46-year-old woman, starting to, I mean, it was probably like in the last year that I started not caring as much about that stuff, but it still creeps in like it does with you
Yeah.
and your email, and and for me, when I in that class, when I realized that the people pleasing came from me being a child, like when my dad left, thinking I could fix it,
Oh.
thinking like, oh, I need to impress my dad, I need to do this, like. And by the way, I think the people pleasing and being a perfectionist, like, because that kind of went hand in hand for me, because I tried to be a perfect child every time I was
Mm.
around my dad, because I wanted him to see, how great his daughter is, and come back home, and be part of my life. Like, so sad when I think about it, like
Mm.
as a child, to like be thinking that it had, that their divorce had anything to do with me, and that I can try to fix it in some way, shape, or form. But that was the mentality that I had, and as an adult, it served me. Like, it's my goal to reach perfection in certain aspects of my life when I was younger, caused me to work really hard
Mm.
for what I wanted. It made me very ambitious, and I worked really hard to be perfect in that thing, right? Whether it was being in college and playing volleyball, winning Miss USA, like doing that, anything. And when I realized it was such a burden, it really was, unknowingly, by the way, what it was, a burden. And I took this class, and when I realized what that was and where it came from, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy. And then I immediately, kind of similar to you, had a thought of what causes an adult male to behave that way,
Mm.
and in his marriage with his children. I thought, I can't even, and I don't know the answer to this, and I don't have a relationship with my dad. So I don't think I'll ever know, but I can only imagine that he had a pretty traumatic
Yeah.
childhood. And because that's the only way
Yeah.
you can somehow do that, cause that kind of harm, to a child, to
Yeah.
your wife. Um and it made me like have, some empathy toward him and
Yeah.
kind of not, I actually called my dad after I took that course. And when I realized all of this, and because I hadn't talked to him at that point for 10 years. And I knew that when I won Miss USA, like after I won Miss USA and it was all over the papers and everything, I'm like, I knew he was going to come around and like try to be the proud dad, even though he had nothing to do with my upbringing. And I remember telling my mom, because my mom was an angel, by the way. Like every time it was his birthday, Father's Day, she'd be like, call your dad, wish him a happy birthday, wish him a happy Father's Day. I'm like, why would I do that? Like, he doesn't call me on my birthday to wish me a happy
Mm.
birthday, and he hasn't been a dad at all. Like, what's so happy about Father's Day? I used to get my mom Father's Day cards,
Oh
and I
yeah.
would, a happy Father's Day card, and I would like just X out father, or do like happy Father's Day mom. I would
Yeah.
add mom to it, and she'd always laugh. She thought it was the funniest thing. But she deserved it because she was a mom and a dad. But after I realized where this perfectionist came from, and had more empathy toward what my dad may have had, what he had gone through potentially as a kid, I called him and I apologized to him for shutting him out for 10 years, because the one thing I have learned is that we are not here to teach anyone else a lesson.
Hmm.
Like we are on our own journeys in life, and we should just be focusing on ourselves. And furthermore, I harbored all this like vitriol and like hatred toward my dad. Like I had all this anger, and when I called him and apologized for for my part, and said, what, here's my number, if you ever want to call me, feel free to call me. I'm sorry for shutting you out for 10 years. That's, I told him, I said, it's not, whatever you've gone through in life is your journey, and I'm on mine, and that's it. That's what I wanted to say. And once I did that, it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. And so that's like another thing that, um a really interesting lesson that I learned, from like those who have hurt you. Well, they say
Hmm.
those who hurt you are hurt themselves,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah, I kind of never asked my dad about that during that time, and haven't talked to him in a while. Like it's been years, but yeah, I feel more at peace with everything that happened in my childhood and everything I saw, everything I was exposed to, that no child should ever see, or experience.
Yeah.
But that's my truth, and again, back to the topic of this um episode, like it definitely made me choose a man that was completely the opposite of my dad.
Yeah. And listen, what you just went into, I think it's so powerful that I can't say anything, and I'm not trying to beat it at all, but I think like leaving it on that sentiment is really powerful because like I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know what answers I'm trying to find, and I think I need to get there before I can pick up that phone like you did. But
Oh.
doing that is so courageous. It's amazing. I don't know if I could ever get there.
Mm.
But
Well, it
uh,
depends, Santi. Like I think the answer is, are you at peace with yourself, or is there something there that bothers you? Is there a weight on your shoulder about it? You know what I mean? Or do you feel at fault at all? Because that's the only thing we can control, right? Is like
mm,
taking accountability for our own actions and for any hurt that we may have caused our
yeah.
loved ones, and if the answer is yes, then I think it's always a good idea to pick up
So
the phone and apologize for your part and not
no.
expect anything back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
No.
saying?
So no, I do not feel at fault. No, I spent a lot of years kind of feeling like, do I need to be doing
Well,
more? Feeling the pressure of that? Yes. But I came to terms and I realized that no, I am not at fault at all.
You haven't done
But
anything
to be
to.
honest, to be quite honest, in like I've only maybe told my wife this in some conversation we've had, like Do I want an explanation? Oh my God, would an explanation mean the world to me? Probably, possibly.
Uh-huh.
Um, would I feel, would it change my perspective on what my childhood was been? Maybe, yes. Is that what I'm looking for? It's not what I'm looking for, but it would be nice to get. It really would be really, really nice to get. Even at 45, like, it would feel good to me just to have an explanation and be like, listen, I know things I wasn't the best at all times,
Okay.
and I see that and I understand that. Would that mean the world to me? Absolutely. Am I expecting that? No. Am I gonna sit and wait for that? No. So I don't know if that answers what that question was, but I do not feel like it is my fault at all. I do not feel like I'm still holding on to that, but I did spend a lot of years with that like heaviness like on my shoulders
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm not looking for that like anymore, and I am very at peace with that decision and that realization with everything.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. Well, that's good because I think that that's it. Like you can't force them to talk to you, right?
Yeah.
You can't force anything. And by the way, when I talked to my dad and told him how I felt about my childhood,
Yeah.
he apologized.
Oh really?
He didn't make up any excuses. He didn't say why he behaved the way he did. Again, so this is part of the reason why I don't know much about his childhood. Like he didn't share
Yeah.
much. He just apologized over and over again. But I laid it all out on the table, and I let him know why I shut him
Yeah.
out for so long, and why I was always angry with him.
Yeah.
It was like, oof, it was terrible.
I
How are
yeah.
we normal?
Well, that's another thing. I don't know if there is a such a thing as that, but we're pretty
That's
close,
true.
right? We're pretty
That's
close,
true.
but I gotta tell you, I
Yeah.
didn't know where this episode was gonna go, but I was really excited to talk about it. But I really
Yeah.
love that we went into this because I do feel like everybody in their family, everybody has some sort of thing that we are always trying to unpack and something that we are trying to deal with. Even as good of a family you think you have, and you probably do, there's something there, right? And we're all trying to
Yeah.
navigate through that and be the best version of an adult that we can and pass it down to our kids. But I think like talking about some of our struggles, hopefully, and I'm sure it will help a lot of people. And I'm happy that we did talk about this because for me right now, it feels like a therapy session. And I have a lot of thinking to do like after this. I'm probably going to go smoke a cigar just to go through all my thoughts. And I'm not even joking. Like I
Yeah.
love doing stuff like this. So when we go deep into this world, I'm like, man, this felt really good. Let me go think about all this stuff because,
Yeah.
I appreciate the questions that you have asked me in this episode because it really challenges a lot of my thoughts and really unpack what I'm thinking and what I want and what I need and what is it that would
Yeah.
make me happy. Like I don't know.
Right. Right.
So
Life's too short. I mean,
yeah,
that's how I see it. Life's too short, and you just all you can do is open the door
yeah,
and see if anybody wants to walk through it. And if the answer is no, then it's on them, right?
yeah,
Like you did your part. And that's what made me feel most at peace was just being like, here's my phone number. You can call me whenever you want. Cause he had been trying to, get in touch. And I was just like flipping the bird at him, and being angry from afar. And I wasn't hurting him. I wasn't even
mm,
talking to him. But all that anger was definitely affecting me. And so yeah, letting go of that was pretty powerful for me.
maybe I'll just send them a link to this episode and be like, hey, just take a listen. It's all right
Yeah.
here. We can talk after or whatever. But
Yeah. Let me know how you feel.
oh man, but man,
Oh. Well, this will be interesting to
yeah,
see what you will do and what the future holds.
yeah. I
Yeah.
guess we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, I have to go think about all this stuff in a good
Yeah.
way. So
Yeah, of
yeah.
course, of course. I'm not pressuring you to go
Oh
call
no.
your family right now. Let's all FaceTime and have a moment.
Yeah,
No, no, no.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, thank
but
you for being open, Santi, to like talking about this. I mean, it popped up in,
yeah,
randomly, and I texted you and you were like, yes, let's talk about it. And then the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, damn,
yeah,
I'm like, yeah, like there's so much that we hold on to from our childhood, from our parents, like stuff that we see that we may bring into our relationship now that is affecting your relationship in a negative way. And it's like, if you don't, I mean, listen, I commend you for being in therapy and for like, talking and doing the opposite of what you saw growing up, because that's really hard to do, because you think that that's the normal thing,
Yeah.
but somehow you were wired differently and you realized that it's not the right way to be, and you have a great relationship and you're a great dad, and you coach your kids, sports, get like you're involved, and you're,
I mean, that goes for you as well. So amazing job too. So, but thank you for your kind words.
we're patting each other on the back.
Yes, we are.
Well, on that note, oh my gosh. Okay, so we're once again gift of gab. We can go on and on talking and telling stories. So let's we can wrap it up here. Thank you all so much for listening to us gab away about our childhood trauma. Literally childhood trauma. Follow us. We're at Spouseology Pod all over, and comment, send us a DM, let us know what you guys want us to talk about next. We'll see you on the internet.
Bye.
Bye.